Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So on today's video, we're going to be doing our template number 3, and the pictures of it is actually coming up right here. And I've already pre-cut for the video, and I've actually cut all these measurements out and then added a mat that was an eighth of an inch bigger. So on these four 1 inch strips, I made the mat for them 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. So all my bases are together. And then here I'm showing you the individual pieces. And like I said, once I cut the pattern paper, I just put it on a mat that was an eighth of an inch bigger. Okay. And at the beginning, if you pause the video, you'll be able to see all the measurements. Okay. So what we're going to do is start building up or placing the pattern pieces where I want them on each of the card fronts, and then one of the YouTubers who commented on I want to say the template from last week, requested seeing using more of they call them collectibles, or they're more like ephemera pieces, um, is what we call them. So I have the collectibles for this paper collection, so we're going to be using that for decorating and creating our cards. So on the pieces, on some of them, I did take the borders out of the 6.5 by 6.5 pad that they have in the back. And we're going to attach it to the strip and then trim off the parts that are extra long. And it's just a quick snip on each end. And it just gives it a little bit of dimension. Gives it a little something on those particular strips. And those are 5 1/4 long, and then the mat, like I said, was 5 3/8. So it matches the um, base paper that we put down. And we're doing the same thing with the last two, using the ATG and the arc glitter glue and putting everything down. Alright, so we're going to do this one here. And you could actually, add dimension on these if you wanted to put foam tape behind them. There's going to be some of the pieces that I do add foam tape onto. Um, but I don't add a whole lot because not all of them, I don't want all of them to be, raised. Alright, so on this one, we have the two pieces, and at first I was going to put them either at the bottom or at the top, and then I realized that I really like this one with the side opening. So that's how I'm going to wind up working out this one. And then here are the collectibles, and I'm just using a little scrap of black paper, and what I'm doing here is separating anything that's title related. So if it's just one word, I would like to have thankful, blessed, grateful. They had a happy birthday, little sentiments, whatever it was that I was going to try and use for the cards. I just wanted to separate it so it helps to be able to see what all is in there. Okay, so we're going to start with this one first. And I knew I wanted to use this green sentiment piece that was in the collectible. So I decided at one point, I was like, okay, let me hold on to that. I'll either use that one or we'll wind up using something else. I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to use. And I knew I wanted another piece, but it wasn't working out the way that I wanted. So I decided I would probably just leave it alone and just use the two pieces and call it a day. And then what I decided to do was grab the heart, and I was like, okay, call it done. So all I'm going to do is attach the tag and our focal image, our sentiment, and we're going to go ahead, excuse me, and get these with the glue on it. so we can get the piece attached to the card. And what I'm trying to do here, and I'm kind of doing it off camera because it was giving me problems, was I just wanted to add a little bit of baker's twine on the tag itself. And then we're going to add just a little bit of foam to the heart to give it a little bit of dimension. And I like to go through and do the one step at a time. So if I'm decorating, then I'm doing all my decorating. And then once they're all done, excuse me, sorry about that. I had a mild coughing fit. Um, but as I was saying, I like to go through everything at once. Do you know what I mean? So that way I can get all the decorative pieces done, and then anything else I want to do to it, whether it be adding the glitter drops, the Nouveau drops. On this one, I used some Wink Stella, and then I actually wound up pulling out some enamel dots that I have in my stash and using those on these as well. Now on this one, I wanted to add another tag to it, but it wasn't fitting right. So I kind of laid it down to see, how I was going to be able to cut it to get it underneath. And you can't tell that I cut it. I love it. I liked how that turned out. I was like, yay, it gives me a little bit, color, added a little pizzazz to it, and a neat way to try and, like beat the system. Now on this one, I'm using the greens, and I wasn't sure about the separate green piece, so I put it off to the side. And I realized on this one, I could just keep it really simple. Little dimension on the sentiment and keep it nice and simple. So on this one, I'm using the flowers and the thank you sentiment. And to give it a little added interest, I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of this bird. And in the end, I wind up putting a enamel dot for the eye, and I also wind up using the Wink Stella on the bird to give it a little shimmer. Now this one, it's really nice because the flower and everything is so big, it's really spotlighted on that um, striped paper. And then it says happy birthday, which I put on um, at the bottom for the sentiment. So for the most part, these are really kept, for the most part, really simple. But like I'll show you as we go, when you add the enamel dots, when you add the glitter and different things like that, you add a level to the pizzazz. So even though it's for the most part a very simple layout, we're able to create interest with what we're adding to it. So once I had the sentiment popped up, I'm just adding foam pieces to some of the hearts, gluing the other ones down. Um, like the greens here, I wanted those to lay flat, but I got the flowers on foam tape, so that gives it a little bit of dimension. And eventually I am going to come back to this one and add a few hearts, because though I do like the three, I realized I wanted two more. I just wanted a few more there. And I keep trying to use that one flower, but it is not working. On this one, I knew I wanted to use that big one and then put that little green piece behind the wooden frame. And I want to say on this one, I don't think I added hearts. I think I might have added more of the flower pieces. And that one I just glued down. And then we're going to attach the big one using foam tape as well. And then we're going to call that one done. So, okay. I'm adding just a little bit of pieces, little bitty pieces to the hearts. And then you can see here, I bring it back over. And I'm like, okay, I want to add just a few more. Just those two. I really wasn't sure where to put this one, but it finally found a home and I was happy with it. So those are all the cards. So now we're just going to put the collectibles or ephemera off to the side, and then I'm taking the clear Winka Stella, and I'm hitting all the flowers, um, and adding just a little bit of sparkle here and there on the different pieces, so that way, depending on the light, you get a little shimmer. Um, you could technically just do that and be done. It adds a little bit of interest. If you're just trying to keep it as simple as possible, you would be perfectly fine. What I like on the Wink Stellas or the Nuvo glitter pens, you can highlight even the pattern paper. Like I'm going over all the large flowers, and then I'm also going to go across the stripes. And when you move it in the light, you can see all that little shiny sparkle. And it's really nice. It's a nice effect, and it's soft, not too overwhelming. So on that one, I just did the main flower. And on this one, let me see here. Oh, I knew what I was doing. When I got to this point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring out those enamel dots. This is actually, um, it's almost like a gem, and it has the, pearl in the center. I was going to add some enamel dots to that one, but really that pearl is like the center of attention, so I'm good. So on these, we're going to add a few of the uh, enamel dots. And what I like a lot about most of these is they have the three different sizes, the small, medium, and large. And I always try and put them out in odd numbers. But on this first one that I'm doing, it's so funny. But I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but when it comes to enamel dots, sequins, nouveau drops, whenever I start putting them on a card, if I don't stop myself, I could have a card covered in those things. It's like one turns into 30. And I don't know how that happens, but it's like, okay, when is enough? Because you'll see on some of these, I'm just going to do three. That's all it needed. One, two, three. Just a little bit of something right in the corner. Like on this one, I put it up in the corners. And you saw me putting down the art glitter glue as I'm putting down the enamel dots. I do that only because I want to make sure it stays. I hate that, after so much time, like sometimes enamel dots or the gems or even the sequins, they come off and it drives me nuts. So I wanted to just make sure it gives me a little bit of time to wiggle these things around to get them nice and even. But on the same token, I know that with the art glitter glue, it's also going to give it a nice strong hold. And I put a darker pink in the center of the one flower, so I decided to mimic that on the other two, so that way it was, cohesive. Now on this one, I'm going to do a different color. I actually thought about doing the blue, and I changed my mind and decided to do big of the lighter pink. I'm just going to use all three. And boom. Oh, okay. No, I forgot. In the center of the flower, we're also going to put, I think we're going to just do two of the smaller ones. So there you have that one. And then I decided on the first two, I didn't put any dots, but I decided to go ahead and grab, I believe we wound up doing hot pink, yeah, the hot pink ones on one, and then I think I did the green on another one, the second one over there. And I was going to go down the top, but then I realized I did two that way, and then I was going to do two this way, so that way there's like a couple of different options. And then there's the green. So we wound up making 7 cards. So that's why I left the one with the pearl separate, because we have 6 where they're using the enamel dots and Some have the glitter on it, and then we have the one where it's just the one focal image right in the center. So here are our close-ups. At the very end, I will have links to previous Friday sketch videos. I'll also have links to the Kaisercraft paperwork collection that we're using. It'll be down in the section below. Okay, and once again, thank you guys for joining me. If I can't remember if I said it or not, but hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will look forward to seeing you guys with our next video. Thanks again, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.